Well, we're hoping it'll start. Golly. There we go. Alrighty. Hi, I am David Perlman. This is Microsoft Office Hours. Today is February the 11th. With me today is
Heather Cox
and Stephanie Stevens.
Excellent. Look at how good we're getting. And with us today, we have the team from Nulia, really excited. So if you would like to turn on your video, Rupen, and I think we have Kishore as well somewhere. Is he hiding? And Brian. So I'm going to turn it over to you folks and really look forward to seeing. I love this stuff. So it's awesome. So take it away.
Great. Thank you very much. So hi, everybody. My name is Brian Murphy. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Nulia. So I'm responsible for sales for Nulia across the globe, essentially. And joining me are Rupen Palmer, who's our Director of Partner Success, based in Manchester, UK, and Kishore Joseph, who's based in Arizona. And Kishore's our Director of US Enterprise Sales. So, look, delighted to be able to present Nulia to you guys today. And David, thanks very much for the opportunity to present Nulia Works. And I just want to give you a brief, quick introduction to Nulia, and then I'll hand it over to Rupen to show you a demo of the platform. So let me just share my screen quickly and run you through just 3 or 4 quick slides to give you some indication and some background on Nulia. I'll see that. So Nulia is really all about unlocking the value of Office 365 and Teams. We were founded in about October 2017 in Eugene, Oregon, and just about 2.5 years after launching the company, we were very honored to receive the Modern Workplace Apps and Teams solution. Apps and solutions for Microsoft Teams. So Partner of the Year last year from Microsoft, which we were very humbled and honored to receive. But I think when you see the Teams application that we're going to demonstrate to you later on today, hopefully it'll underwrite Microsoft's reasoning for offering and receiving this award. So look, effectively, when we went to set up Nulia, being an ex-Microsoft person myself, I was always looking for new, innovative ways to drive adoption of Office 365. And, our theory was that we'd set up a training company. But, having looked through analyst reports, we saw that, if people remember that when Satya joined Microsoft, there was this dirty little secret that they were really, really doing well selling Office 365, but the adoption of the software wasn't really what it should have been. So 50% of software wasn't getting used, and traditional methods in isolation, like training and one-time classroom sessions, weren't really getting the job done and weren't moving the needle. And so, we set about building a platform. And we have a better way, and we refer to it as Digital Enablement, and it's powered by our Nulia Works platform. And really what it's about is it's getting people getting new skills within Teams and Microsoft 365. So, we install Nulia Works into the Microsoft 365 tenant, and we monitor and measure how people are acting and how they're using their Office 365 and their day-to-day work. And then using that data intelligence, we then guide them to learn new skills in their natural flow of work. So just using our platform within Teams, within the Teams environment, so they don't have to leave where they are in their natural flow of work. And it's very personalized to each and every individual. So using that data intelligence, we don't expect people to go and have to learn things that they're not already demonstrating they're using, but we use the data intelligence so they learn new skills while they're in their day-to-day flow of work. And it's, look, in terms of education, it's good for students, educators, staff, and faculty. For students to develop the digital skills they need within Microsoft 365 to be successful during in-person and virtual learning, for educators to gain an understanding of the features and functions in Microsoft 365 and to be more effective using them in, again, remote and in-person instruction, and for faculty and staff to be more informative and engaging with colleagues with communication tools and applications within Teams and Microsoft 365. And, you know, we're getting great success. We've seen tremendous increase in usage across our entire customer base, increase in Teams calling, Teams chat, video meetings, and just syncing and sharing files in OneDrive and SharePoint. And, you know, we've got tremendous case studies from customers with the success they're having with Nulia Works. And I think when you see the platform, it'll bring a lot of this together. So that's really the introduction, and I'll hand it over to Rupa now to run a demo.
Thanks, Brian. Just give it a minute, just make sure everyone can see my screen.
Yep. We can see your screen.
Excellent, thank you. So, as Brian said, when Nulia Works plugs into the Office 365 tenant, it can also be recognized as one of the apps that sit underneath the waffle here. And as you can see, what you're going to get here is the experience from an end user perspective. So whether it's faculty, whether it's a student, they'll be able to click on the Nulia Works app icon. And with single sign-on, it will take them straight through to the Nulia Works web portal. And for the purpose of the demo, I'm going to go through the web portal. And just to be mindful, and I will show it at the end, that we have now created all of what you're going to see here within our Teams app now as well. So I'll come back to the pièce de résistance right at the end. But as you can see on the homepage, that it gives me a snapshot of my skills, and how the platform is laid out is around outcomes. And if you think about an outcome is an organizational, transformational goal or business goal of some description. And it might just well be that, hey, we want all our faculty team to be up to speed, collaborating, doing all this wonderful stuff in 365. And then you can break it down with elements that they might want to sort of skill up and use. And we recognize that in the platform as an outcome. I'll dive into it in just a minute, a little bit more detail. What sits underneath outcomes then are sets of skills. And typically an outcome will have anywhere between 4, 6, 7 skills attached to it. And then what sits underneath skills are sets of activities. And those activities are what we're asking the user. So whether that end user is a student or whether the end user is somebody in faculty or an educator, we're getting them to basically look at how they're using 365 today, and more importantly, skill up in the areas that they need to within the platform, essentially. It'll make more sense as I'm going through it in a minute. What you'll also then see right in the middle of the homepage is Nulia is always recommending next steps. So it's recommendation that's built into the platform. And obviously, my next steps are going to be very different to Brian's, to David's, right? They're going to be very, very different because, you know, David's knowledge, I'm guessing, of Office 365 is up there, but somebody's going to come off mute in a minute and say, you're kidding me, right? And mine, pretty mediocre, right? Even though I'm ex-Microsoft as well. But, you know, this is saying that, hey, you need to add files to OneDrive and SharePoint. This is your next step. This is what you need to look at. Great, fantastic. I'll come back to the purple try it button and all the resource in just a minute. And directly underneath here, you'll see that this is where all of your great notifications come in. So, you know, you unlock skills to receive badges, you unlock different elements within there, and you're creating a little bit of gamification that we've got into the platform, a little bit of camaraderie across the students, across the faculty team. So this is where the notifications come into the platform. I'm just going to drop down into the outcomes page. Now, the actual platform itself has got a whole host of outcomes already baked into the platform. And I'm mindful of the audience that are in front of. So I just want to highlight a couple that are already in the platform. And these are specifically for the education sector. And we're verticalizing a lot of this that's coming into the platform. So, things like empowering educators to use Office 365 in the classroom, empowering students of the same. And then there are a couple more as I go further down, a couple of quick starts. And then using OneNote as a student, using OneNote as an educator, different things. And I'll drop down into one of those in just a minute. And then the ones that have been assigned to me, it's saying that, hey, all the ones on the left-hand side are in progress currently. So if I hover over them, you'll see the completion rate. So that one there is 83% complete. And then just in the middle column here, you'll see if I scroll down to the bottom, these are all of the outcomes that I've currently attained, but more importantly, I'm maintaining them. So like traditional platforms where, hey, you've watched a video and you've answered some quiz questions and then we leave you alone saying, yeah, there you go, you're trained, right? Carry on. Not with Nulia. So we get the user to learn those new vital skills. And more importantly, we carry on measuring them as they go throughout the weeks and months, so they're not falling back into their old ways. And you say, well, what happens if they do fall back into their old ways? Well, it goes into what we call needs attention. So imagine the old way of working was attach a spreadsheet in an email, and then you send it out to 20 of your colleagues, for you then to receive 20 versions of that spreadsheet back, right? We've all been there. And then the new way of working is, well, I send a hot link from my OneDrive or my SharePoint, and everybody collaborates just on that one link. Fantastic. But actually, this is saying, hey, that new skill that you learned, guess what, user? You've fallen back into your old ways. So it goes into needs attention. And then the other reason why things go into needs attention is, well, Microsoft loves to update the platform, right? Look at all the updates that they've just done in Teams recently over the last 3 or 4 months. Unbelievable. So as a Nulia customer, you also get that notification saying, hey, remember that skill that you learned a couple of weeks ago? Well, guess what? Microsoft has updated some feature or functionality. So go back into the skill, make yourself familiar with what that new element is. So we put it into needs attention. So I'm just going to drop down into one of these outcomes. Let's drop down into, I don't know, this one here. And this outcome is empowering educators to use Office 365 in the classroom. Great. And right at the top here, you'll see your target level. And this is your target maturity level. And we're actually getting this data from the Graph API because we're plugged in at tenant level, right? And you'll either come in at one of 3 maturity levels, either user, producer, or master. At user level, so this is somebody that, infrequently sends instant messaging, infrequently doing video calls, that they don't use it a great deal. And it could warrant it because it's their job not to use the whole platform, right? And then at producer level, so this is somebody that dives a little bit deeper into the platform. So, they can upload backgrounds, they can blur their backgrounds, they can even send a link via OneDrive right from within Teams, right? And then master level. There's not going to be that many masters actually within an organization, within a college, a university there. The way that we see a master is generally these are, digital champions of some description within there. And they'll also be masters of Nulia as well at the same time. And then directly underneath the target level, you'll see a little synopsis of what we're trying to achieve from the outcome. A little overview video that accompanies it. People learn in different ways. And then, like I said, underneath outcomes are sets of skills. And as you can see there, this particular outcome has 3 different skills attached to it. And this bar chart will suddenly move from red to amber to green as I steady move up the different activities that are below this skill. Just before I go down into one of the skills, on the right-hand side here, you'll see again the recommendation engine built into Nulia is always recommending what my next step should be. And again, my next steps are going to be very different to David's and Brian's and Kishore's, right? And I'm just going to drop down into this skill here. So, encouraging engagement in your classroom. Okay, so it's bringing me in at user level, great. And it's saying that, hey, a little synopsis of what we're trying to achieve from the skill. Fantastic. Now, underneath the skill are different activities. And this is what really is intuitive about the platform. And this is what the platform's trying to get the user to learn different elements and go a little bit deeper within Teams or 365 platform. And some of these activities might just be from watching a little video, but then others could just well be an actual activity within the platform. So for instance, set your status in Teams. Now, against each and every single activity, you'll see this big purple try it button. And the way I symbolize the try it button is a little bit like learning to swim, right? You didn't learn to swim by watching YouTube videos or sitting on the side of the pool and watching people bob up and down. I don't know about you guys, but my mum back in the day gave me a little nudge in the pool and said, "There you go, Roop, get swimming." But later on in life, I got a few lessons. So I guess the try it button is a little bit like that nudge, right? Jump and dive in. So if I click on it, it will take me right out to the application. Now, this is a demo account, so it's defaulting to the online version, but it can default also to the desktop version. And it will take me to the point where I can go ahead and set my status in Teams or whatever the other activities are. So send an instant message, bang, I'll click on it, and it'll take me right to the point that I can go and send an instant message to whoever I need to. Now, you're probably thinking, well, hang on a second. There's a lot of students out there. There's, new people in faculty, educators that have never used Teams before, God forbid, or, they're new to it, let's say. Well, some people don't like to head straight first into things. So what we've got in the platform is resources already baked into it. And there's different resources for different parts of the activity. So it could just be as simple as a little step-by-step guide. So a little PDF will pop up, he says, and as it says on the tin, it will show you step-by-step guide on how to do that particular activity. Or some people learn by video. And we're baking different styles and modalities of learning because, again, people learn in different ways. So a little 2-minute video can pop up. And again, it will show you how to do that particular activity via a video. And there's various different things in there. There's podcasts, there's little comic strips. So just depending on how people learn. But as you can see, this particular skill has a good number of activities baked into it. So sending instant messaging in Teams, mentioning students, formatting options within Teams messages. As you can see, it's starting to dive deeper and deeper into the platform. Now that's at user level. Okay. Once it's satisfied that you've been doing those particular activities, it will then push you up a level to producer and then onto master. Or you can even unlock it yourself if you feel you want to go ahead and try them. But it will cost you points, and I'll come back to points in just a minute. And at producer level, it will start to unlock a few more activities that, again, gets you diving into the platform a little bit deeper, and then at master level a little bit more as well. At each of these different levels, you'll also be able to unlock a hint. Again, I'll come back to the point system in just a minute.
Questions?
The next tab.
Ruben?
Yeah, please,
Real
David.
quick.
Go ahead.
And I don't want to interrupt your flow.
No worries.
The analytics on the back end of this. So if we are somebody that had engaged with Nulia, I'd love to see if you can show for a minute what the back end looks like, so we can see what the reporting engine, success or failure. Because hey, I engaged with Nulia, and what am I getting out of it, right? In terms of training and upskilling, et cetera.
Totally. Yeah. Just going to go onto that tab in just 1 minute. Yeah.
Yep.
But we have got a reporting engine just at the back there for sure. Fantastic. The showcase tab, the user, this is where all of your badges start to collate when you're going through the platform. So you get a badge, not because you've watched some videos and answered some quiz questions. You get a badge because you've learned those new skills, and you've also maintained those new skills as well. So it'll give you a date of when you've earned it, and then a little tab there saying that you maintain them as well. If you're allowed to, you can then post it onto LinkedIn or copy the URL and post it on an internal LMS platform or a platform of your choice internal, if that's the case. You get achievement medals, and for every skill that you unlock, you also get these engagement points as well. And like I said earlier, you can exchange these engagement points for hints and tips within the platform. And just to your point there, David, as a manager of a department or a faculty lead, let's say hypothetically, or a department lead, you will also get the Insights tab. And then the global admin of Nulia will be able to see it from a global level as well. And this is the real proof in the pudding, right? So exactly what David was just saying. So what this is showing is, for the last 2 weeks, we've got an update that's happening in about a week's time. It'll give you a previous 30-day view as well. But this is basically showing at a glance that, hey, I can filter it via department, or I can even filter it if you've got different sites on your campus, depending on how your AD is set up. So we're pulling all of that data from your Active Directory. And essentially, we can drop down right and filter it right at, user needs attention level as well. And if I just click on that filter there, I can even drop down to my direct team, if that makes sense. And I can drop into Alice, and I can absolutely see at granular level now, oh, well, this is what Alice has got assigned to her, and she's got a couple of things and needs attention. Let me just send Alice a quick hint. So as her department head or manager, I can send her a quick hint. I can even change her target maturity level from user to producer, from producer to master if I want to. And then finally, as her head of department, I can also assign a new outcome directly to her as well. But one thing I really do like about the Insights tab is I can drill down into each and every single outcome that has been pushed out to the organization. And when I say I can drill down into the outcome, I can actually drill down and have a look at end user perspective as well. So if I just drill down into, I don't know, let's go into this one here. And this is saying the quick start for using Teams and OneNote as an educator. Great, fantastic. So it's given me some stats of who it's been assigned to and where people are about maintaining it and who's in needs attention. If I want to, I can again drop right down into each and every one of the users. And again, I can filter it via department and via via faculty office as well, if I need to. And then the final piece to show you is the pièce de résistance and our Teams app. Everything that you've just seen from an end user perspective is now built right within Teams. The global admin of 365 can push that straight out to every single user. They can then pin it on the sidebar here. And as you can see here, you'll get a nice overview homepage snapshot, the badges that you've earned that will the skills and the outcomes that you've achieved. You can drop down even into your outcomes page. And then at this point, you can even drop down into any one of these skills. And the skills will give you an overview like I showed you before. And I can even drop down into any one of the skills, and I can start to then use the resources and the try it button right from within Teams. And the only thing today that's missing, that's going to be here on the next update, which will be in the next couple of weeks, is the Insights tab for managers and global admins. That will be right within and baked into the Teams app as well. And that is my demo. Anything to add, Brian? Sorry, I'll bring you in.
Sorry, just no. I was on. No, that's all fine. Perfect.
Fantastic.
David.
We always have a couple of questions, and certainly me, if just to hear myself talk. So, do you have it available from an app standpoint for mobile phone format as well? Mobile phone.
Yes.
So there's it's available to use, and we measure off mobile, online, and obviously desktop apps. But yeah,
if they're using the Teams app, they can fully utilize it within the Teams mobile app,
which I think is phenomenal for students, right? So that's the I think students generally pick this stuff up a little bit quicker, but this is great from a just getting them acquainted real quick, right? Give them some simple tasks and have them go forward. The other thing, where have you typically been engaged? And now I know we have a couple of my common customers that you're working with.
Yeah. Right.
When does a school say, hey, we need this?
Yeah. So as you know, David, we're engaged with Syracuse, and
you don't need to mention names. It's okay.
I'm sorry. Apologies. And some other universities. But yeah, look, it's typically where we might start off with faculty and staff, and we do provide free licenses for students in a ratio of faculty to staff. So that's typically where it would start out, and then they would deploy out to the student population. But we do see where students are coming to graduation, they need these skills when they're joining the workforce. So getting these skills now before they go out into that workforce is really critical as far as we're concerned, and the customers we're working with is saying the same thing.
So I guess, when I think about that box, right, is it a dean of students that's calling in saying, hey, we need to get our folks trained up on this? Is it somebody in IT? Is it, a tech educator, somebody instructional learning? Kind of where do you generally see that plug-in taking place?
It's a mixture, David. It's
okay.
Sometimes it may start out with IT and they bring HR into the equation, or L&D, learning development. So it does change from different universities.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
If I can jump in just with a comment and a question while we're waiting for some folks to maybe populate some questions inside of the chat as well. First of all, love the idea of sort of task-based, performance-based demonstration of mastery to progress through these core skills and functionalities. I think the teacher in me, the instructional designer in me, is really pleased to see that, rather than just a simple affirmation, right? Of like, check, I did it, because I'm guilty of it just like everyone else, of going through a tutorial, putting things on 2.5 speed, clicking things to be done, and then moving on. So no, I don't. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell my boss. No, and I think that's a really good approach. I do think, the major lift for me here would be on a district that was really not leveraging already 365 in the environment. And so, do you have any of those anonymized maybe tales of sort of a pivot or a turn forward from a place that maybe was using a different solution and then use this tool to really drive adoption? Because essentially I see this as a hugely freeing way for folks like myself and others who support professional development, general understanding, upskilling, to automate some of that process. So anything on that side that you could point to?
Not specifically moving from another platform to M365. We don't have any specifics on that. I don't know if, Rupin, in the UK, do we have any specific education customers that have moved off a different platform?
So I think there were we have got a couple, and I think most of the reason they were moving across was they wanted more insight. What they weren't getting from their current LMS, for instance, right? They weren't getting the actual, real granular sort of information behind the scenes, and they were saying, okay, we've thrown all these, we've even incorporated Microsoft learning pathways, right? And they're saying, hey, but we're not getting our students or our faculty team to interact with the platform. Why is that? Well, okay, so then Nulia came along. We gave them that baseline measurement, and actually we started to give them that actionable insight that they were seeing these groups of people. And the reality is it was a little bit of what you've just said, tongue in cheek, right? So yeah, I've watched the video, and yeah, all right, I can do it. But actually, their job probably didn't warrant them using that element of 365 at the time, because what they don't know, right? And, you know, they were thinking, well, I've always attached a spreadsheet in an email and sent it out to people. So if it ain't broke, why fix it? But actually, you know, it's about enhancing what they're doing on a day-to-day. So, yeah, in that vein, it absolutely did work.
Great.
I'll just share one last slide, David, just around, you know, maybe a call to action. I hope you can see that.
So hey, I'm going to just ask you to turn that off if you could.
Yep.
So we try real hard not to have it from a selling and advertising standpoint. I apologize if I didn't explain that too much.
Okay.
Sorry. I just, you know, we really try to keep this more of a,
No problem.
you know, I don't want to feel like anybody that comes here and taking an hour out of their day. If you have more questions, listen, I love what you do, Brian and Rupen and Keisha. And sorry, I didn't really call that out ahead of time. But, you know, if you have questions, reach out to sales@nulia.com. Great group of guys. They bring a lot of experience to the equation. And thank you for putting up with me on that, because what happens is we try to keep it a little altruistic, although anybody can give me a hard time about anything you want at any point.
Okay.
But
no problem.
No worries.
Really appreciate your time today. It was great. This will be posted in the next 24 hours up on our YouTube channel, and I'll send the link. But really appreciate everybody's time, and I love this. All right, I know there's several schools that we'll be engaging with as we roll out Office 365. Heather and Stephanie, you want to take us home?
Yeah, thank you so much for joining. As a reminder, we're not here next week. Don't show up without us so that you don't get us in trouble.